hasn't.
And
But
why?
the various women associations in the maritime industry, they are trying for the girl child. But you know that every policy that comes in, if there is no government buy-in, you'll just be working, you'll just be trying, you'll just be pushing until government says, okay, we've seen you. That is when you can talk about you having a milestone achievement in your advocacy. Because funding is key. You cannot fund Lagos when the governor hasn't bought into the idea. You cannot go to Abuja or Nasarawa or the 36 states in the federation. That is why we need the office of the First Lady of every state. And that is where our First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, we need her presence in the maritime industry. She comes from a coastal community, and her husband comes from Lagos, which is also a coastal community. So we need, and in fairness, the president has been good to the maritime industry. He has given us the marine and blue economy. But we now need our number one role model First Lady to come to the maritime industry. She's been doing well in health, sports, but we need her. We need her visibility in the maritime industry. Maybe by the time she comes, she'll see that there is an imbalance in the industry.
Let's take the Minister of the Blue Economy, for instance. Some people are saying he is doing perfectly well. Some people are saying, no, he's a greenhorn. How do you rate his performance so far?
We will not be doing justice to him if he says he hasn't done anything. As a new ministry, he has to call stakeholders together. He hasn't been there before now. The ministry wasn't there before now. So he has to cross the T's and dot the I's. I actually applaud him for his various giant strides that he has started. Just recently, we had a stakeholders meeting, and he presented the robust blueprint of what is being expected from him, and honestly we all had to give him a standing ovation, because that is what the industry needs. And if he can capture it within the short time he's been here, and they're getting us to the next level, I think he deserves a round of applause.
So if you have to score the minister, how many percent will you give him?
Well, as a new ministry and as a new minister, what I can say is that there is room for improvement to upscale what he has called now. He has tried, and I'm sure he'll continue to improve based on all what we were told just recently.
You have mentioned Enyibeti 2 times. You know what Enyibeti means. Maybe the professionals like you may also know what Enyibeti means. But think about the layman. What do you think the layman should understand of the name and the concept of philosophy of the name Enyibeti? What is Enyibeti?
Enyibeti is a coastal community. Enyibeti was the first harbour in Eko, not even Lagos State. Eko then, before the colonial era. I'm a product of Enyibeti. I come from Enyibeti. And I'm sure you used to hear this balance in Yoruba, tójú ò bá tẹ̀yìn gbẹ̀tì, ojú ò lè tèkó, meaning that ẹ̀yìn gbẹ̀tì had commerce, ẹ̀yìn gbẹ̀tì had trade, ẹ̀yìn gbẹ̀tì had hospitality, ẹ̀yìn gbẹ̀tì had fisheries and aquaculture, ẹ̀yìn gbẹ̀tì had water transportation, but we never knew it was maritime. Now, but these are features that attracted, after the slave trade, the white people to start commerce along Broad Street, where you had Kingsway, Kellerams, UAC, you had GB Olivant, you had Chanrai, you had Bosins. It was because of Eyigbeti. Then you had the customs. In fact, where the car park is now, it was reclaimed. That was where our central police station was then. All that place was water before the collapse of Eyigbeti. Trade flourished. But there was no foresight. They had to dredge Eyigbeti because of the shallowness of the draft of water to Apapa. But we were not futuristic. The same problem that we're having now that prompted me to start the advocacy and sensitization about maritime careers was what happened in Eyigbeti. We didn't have role models. All they were after was just to trade and go back to their countries. Because then in Eyigbeti, we had the Indians staying there, the Lebanese staying there, but they did not impact into the host community, which I, as an individual, am trying to say no, it cannot happen. That was why in 2023, when we ran the documentary on the renaissance of Eyigbeti and the blue economy, where Kabiyesi Oniru was the royal father, we had the royal mother, Erelu Fernandez. The chairman of the day was Basharu J.K. Randall. We had Babarabi Oluwa. We had who is who that had names in Eko. It was a nostalgic event for them that someone from Eyigbeti has come up to link Eyigbeti with the emerging blue economy, which we had in existence but we never knew until when the balance of blue economy came up. So I had to take us down memory lane, down history, for us to say that no, we've always had this thing, but there's room for improvement now. So our test case was Lekki Deep Sea Port. That is where multimodalism comes in. If we had the rail lines for goods in Eyigbeti then, I'm sure we won't be talking about death of Eyigbeti now. And displacement of indigents. We were trying to warn all coastal states, using Lekki as a typical example. The problem we have in Niger Delta today, as a host community, you should be intentional about coastal people because they don't have any preoccupation. So what they can think of is what to break, what to bend, what to mar, if you don't include them in your agenda. That is why I've always been an advocate of coastal intervention in blue economy.
Take a look at this Eyigbeti again. Take a look at your effort. And then ask yourself, based on the responses of the stakeholders, particularly the state government and the federal government, will you say you have been talking to the deaf, or will you say you have been talking to those who are likely to respond later?
Thank you. The minister, I give it to him because he was the chairman of the occasion for the book launch last year.
Okay.
Even though he was far away in China, he sent DG Nimasa, MD Niwa to come and represent him. And that means that at the federal might, their ears are on the ground towards Engbeti, even though we expect more, as we now want to go to Engbeti 3 this year.
Engbeti is about employment. Engbeti is about commerce. Engbeti is about enlightenment. Now let's take a look at the marine and blue economy. Has that ministry, has that sector actually created real employment, real commerce, and real enlightenment for Nigerians?
Like I said, and you too, you are aware, it's a new ministry. What you don't have, you can't give. The minister has just studied the whole terrain. And part of the job creation aspect, he's been talking about it. And even DG Nimasa, in his wisdom, mentioned something that I read last week about shipyards. Shipyards will, of course, bring job creation. But we can go further beyond shipyards. Nigeria can actually build their own ships. I can give you a typical example.
Go ahead.
Look at Mikano. Do you think Mikano, all the parts were built by Mikano? No, they were not. They will get parts from everywhere and assemble. So what stops Nigeria, instead of going to buy ship in Korea, go and get one part there, get another part in Dubai, get from Malaysia, and you assemble in Nigeria. We have the technical know-how of the captains that can help us. We have someone like Captain Ihenacho. We have someone like Captain Ebubogu. We have Captain Alao. We have Captain Ogbefu. We have so many of them there. The master mariners are there that will help in salvaging the ship industry. I just pray that something, not radical, but something sporadic towards the positive idea of job creation, intentional job creation in the maritime industry is addressed very soon. Because when you talk about 65% of unemployed youth, do you think it is this youth in the urban areas? No, it is in the coastal and rural communities.